So hi Michelle, how are you?
I'm very well, Lynn. How are
Good,
you?
good. I'm good, thank you.
Good.
And thanks for joining me this morning. We're going to have a chat about sleep. And I think that I think both of us will have many clients that actually have issues with sleep, and it can be key to their healing. It is so important for our overall health and for prevention of disease and for maintenance of all of our body's functions. And really there are, I suppose, we want to motivate people with some more information. We want to motivate people to try and incorporate some habits into their day, which will actually help them to improve the quality of their sleep and so the quality of their health. Because when I'm giving presentations, I always open up with mentioning 4 pillars of our health, which is our sleep and nutrition, obviously, movement and relaxation. And oftentimes, say if someone is not sleeping well at all, then it becomes much harder for them to eat well the following day, because they're looking for sugar to, get them going and give them energy, or they're looking for, comfort food, that kind of thing, because they've woken up feeling poorly, So really, all 4 pillars are really important, deeply important, but oftentimes getting the sleep right can be a key to actually helping incorporate more healthy better choices into their day. So let's get started. So I suppose the main issues that people have, there's 2. There's either sleep onset, which is difficulty actually falling asleep, and that can be due to things like maybe too much light, too much noise, stress, some sort of conflict, that kind of thing. And then there's sleep maintenance, and this is where people fall asleep really easily, but then wake up during the night and find it really hard to fall back asleep. And that can be due to maybe something like sleep apnea, which again would be diagnosed, with your doctor. There are tests that can be done, but this is where sleep apnea is where you don't breathe for more than 10 seconds, and generally you will wake yourself up, obviously, to catch a breath. And it can be due to the muscles maybe collapsing in the airways, which can be caused by things like hormone imbalances, because progesterone and testosterone, really are protective of those muscles. But also it can be due to things like, say, strep infections or inflamed glands, that kind of thing. So generally you'll hear older people talking about sleep apnea, but it can happen with children as well. So again, that could be inflamed tonsils, that kind of thing too. So our circadian rhythm is like a 24-hour cycle that are where various different functions are happening in our body without us even knowing, And I suppose the one that we're most aware of is the sleep-wake cycle. And that can be interrupted by, I suppose people would think about jet lag, for example, but it can also be impacted by erratic meal times. It can be impacted by stress, by blood sugar imbalances, by hormone imbalances. But it's really vitally important to make sure that we have a consistent sleep-wake cycle. So we should look at the stages of our sleep. So we have 5 stages. Stage 1 is where we're transitioning into sleep. So that's a really short phase. Stage 2 is when our breathing and our heart rate slows down. Stage 3 and 4 are the deepest stages of sleep. And in stage 3, we filter out any unnecessary information, and we start to heal from the physical traumas of the day. So whatever has happened during the day that we need to repair and renew. Then stage 4 is actually the stage where it's hardest to wake someone up. And that's where our human growth hormone is produced, and also deep tissue repair takes place. So then we have the 5th stage is the REM. So that's our rapid eye movement. That's when our eyes are moving side to side. And that's when we transition, say, from short-term memory into long-term memory. And that's an important stage for us in order for us to wake up without any irritability or anxiety, to have that sort of mental filing done. And these stages would generally be about 90 minutes, but maybe 120 for some people. So we cycle through that during the night, but the time between 11 and 2 really is optimum for achieving that deeper sleep. That's stage 3 and stage 4. And that's when all of the repair and renew and that human growth hormone, which is so important. So really, each of those stages are important, but stage to be really achieving that deep state of sleep is really vital for our health. So I suppose the kind of things that impact, going back to the circadian rhythm, we really want to make sure that we are living our day, to support that circadian rhythm. So exposing ourselves to light early in the morning is really important, because the circadian rhythm is a balance between cortisol and melatonin. So we should have, so cortisol is like our get up and go and our motivating, hormone. And so, if when you get up in the morning, first thing you do is open the curtains, let the light in, because the light goes into our eye, into our retina, and it basically stimulates that cortisol. So really our cortisol should be at its highest, during the daylight hours. And then it should, in the evening time, then, the cortisol reduces, and then we stimulate the melatonin with dark. So darkness will stimulate the melatonin. And the more we sleep and the more melatonin is produced. And melatonin, it not only helps us to sleep, but also it's disease fighting. So it's anti-cancer, it's anti-aging, so really important. So the conditions of, say, getting enough light during the day, and then making sure that, say, our room is really dark at night, and that, we're not stimulating that cortisol production with stress and with blue light and all of that, is key. I did hear actually that you can, if your circadian rhythm is upset, that if you watch the sunrise and the sunset for 2 weeks, that can help reset it as well.
Okay.
But really, I suppose the tips around that are really making sure that your room is pitch black at night, making sure that that there's no, that it's quiet, making sure that you don't look at any blue light, any screens or anything, 2 hours before you go to bed. Like reading would be much better than watching the TV, and definitely much better than looking at your phone. So they're the kind of, they would be some of the tips around, I suppose, sleep hygiene, which is something that we'll be talking about too. Just actually going back to the sleep disorders, one other thing that I would like to mention at this stage is mouth breathing. And this is where you might come in, Michelle, because so when we breathe through our mouth, obviously we have little filters in our nose. When you breathe in through your mouth, can actually make our system more acidic. So also actually mouth breathing can increase things like dental cavities and infections. So if someone, I suppose it's first of all being aware if you're a mouth breather or a nose breather. If you're a mouth breather, there can be several reasons. Obviously it can be just habit, because maybe you had sinus infections and you just got used to breathing through your mouth. But again, it could be because there is some blockage, when you're asleep, that you can't actually breathe through your nose. So it would be really important to address. Now you can test it. There is a tape that you can get, mouth breathing tape, believe it or not.
Hey,
so
right.
It's a tape that you can put over your mouth. I'll put a link to a video on how to use it in the notes, but you can put it across your mouth, and so you can kind of test yourself. If you can't breathe, obviously you won't fall asleep, or you'll wake yourself up, but you'll kind of know that yes, you're breathing through, you're trying to breathe through your mouth, and then you'll obviously realize, is it a blockage? And if it is, that you need to clear that, obviously, Michelle, you might have some essential oils and things like that can help.
Yes, indeed. There's many different blends of essential oil to help clear sinuses. So it's always better to speak to an aromatherapist just to make sure you use the correct ones, because some people can have allergies to something, and a lot of the oils may not blend together as well as others. So to make good choices there. We can make a blend of, say, here for our sinus, we're using eucalyptus, pine, and peppermint. And that also will help with any allergies as well. So we can make a little roller ball for essential oils mixed with a base oil of, say, grapeseed. So this little roller ball, really handy for night. So you just pop it on underneath the cheek cavities. You can pop a little bit on the frontal sinuses here also, and then bring it in through the olfactory system, our sense of smell. So once we have it in the olfactory system by a nice few sniffs in, then the oil that we've just rolled over our face, we can start on these 2 pressure points here, apply a little bit of pressure. So if we do 6 rotations, and then bring it out underneath the cheeks, so where our sinuses are. Then we can bring it up underneath the eyebrows, give a little squeeze at the top to help to loosen anything there within the frontal sinus cavity. Bring it out across the eyebrow and across and into the ear, and under the cheek cavity again, out to the ear. Do some frictions here at the ear, because this is where the little lymph nodes are. And then we're pumping these little lymph vessels, and they will help with the drainage. So across our eyebrows, pinch, 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 nice little strokes out to the ear, underneath, from the nose out onto the cheek, friction, 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 and then down, down either side of the neck, drawing. I can even feel that as I'm doing this.
Yes.
More saliva is being secreted. So we have movement of fluid down into these lymph nodes that we've talked about before. We can give a little pump here. It's amazing. I'm really beginning to loosen up now myself. You can leave those oils on overnight as well. Just fantastic. Yeah. So you can use them for a facial drain, or you can burn them then in one of the little diffusers that you can buy really, really easy in a lot of the shops now are selling them in our pharmacies as well.
And Michelle, would you recommend doing that during the day or just before bed? Or
ideally, when you get your sleep hygiene routine, say 2 hours pre-sleep, you can pop on if you're using a diffuser in your room, these are lovely little ones that have a changing light colors like the chakras. But as you were talking about the light, making sure you have dark, some people leave these on all night, and that affects our sleep. It's lovely to have the essential oils, but when you leave the light on all night, it's going to affect your sleep.
It is. Yeah.
So to just be aware of that, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
So we can use these, when we use the diffuser, we put water into it and the essential oils then are added. Being careful to know the right dilutions.
Yes.
Depending on the amount of water that the diffuser holds, then you'll have to work out what the ratio of essential oils are. Usually the manufacturers have on their directions that they would have in the instructions the right dilution to use with those. Now, if you don't want to use water, these are fantastic as well, are little purifiers. Plug it in, and the filter then is at the bottom, and you pop in your essential oils into these little cavities here. So it's a little filter. And then you can keep this on during the night. Only if you feel that you need a little bit more, especially with congestion. And with these filters, what I tend to do is keep the one blend per filter. So when you buy it, it comes with 3 filters, and they will last a year, but you keep it in its little plastic pouch. Say if you have one for sinuses, if you have one for hormonal blend, or if you have one for a stress blend or a relaxing blend, whatever blend you choose, mark it on your little plastic pouch, and then you can keep interchanging, reusing for how you're feeling. Experiment a little bit with it. They're really good and really, really safe for kiddies' rooms. Really, really safe.
Great. And as you said, there's no light on them, so that's good. But I suppose it is worth saying again that like essential oils are very, powerful. So it is good to get advice. It is good to get advice on them. Yeah.
They're very powerful chemical compounds. They're extracted from nature. And in aromatherapy, now the term aromatherapy is coined from 2 words. So aroma, so you have the sense of smell, and therapy. So that's to help to heal. So that's how aromatherapy is termed. So it's healing with smell. And these powerful little chemical compounds extracted from roots, from trees, twigs, from bark, from the petals of the flowers, and used in many, many different ways. Yes, but they are very, very, very powerful. This is a lovely little inhaler stick. So very easy bought as well, very simply made. This will last 12 weeks. You have your little cotton wick inside your container. So it's like a Vic stick, really. You'll add in, say, to your egg cup, your choice again of essential oils. Now, in the like of an inhaler, we can overload. We can use up to 20 drops in here because it's not touching the skin.
Yes.
And it has a little plastic piece to go through as well. So again, choice of oils, insomnia, for stress, you know, what is causing our sleeplessness.
Exactly.
Let's look at why, and then make a blend to suit. So these little guys, if you're using them, even though they look like a Vic stick, not up the nostril, it's a waft, because remember our powerful chemical compounds. So waft, 3 wafts, pop it back in, use 3-4 times in the day, build it up in the system. And this is lovely for keeping under the pillow at night time. If you wake up, if you are in that wake, sleep, sleep, wake rhythm, it's a nice little addition to just keep it under your pillow. Have a few wafts, neroli, clary sage, and lavender. Oh, beautiful together. 3 beautiful oils. And it's getting into the habit then of using it.
That's it. And it is, it's okay if you wake up, say during the lighter stage of sleep, you wake up for, you know, a minute or two and fall back asleep. That's okay. That still can be part of a good night's sleep, you know?
Yeah.
So as you said, it's about understanding the root cause. So for example, with the mouth breathing, you could see yourself if you can clear your sinuses, if that's an issue. Obviously, if that doesn't work, talk to your doctor if there is some blockage. As I said, mouth breathing can cause other issues as well, you know, so it's definitely worth addressing. Things like the sleep apnea will be diagnosed, you know, with your doctor. And there are things like, say, later on when we're talking about hormones and things like that, there's certainly things that you can do in your lifestyle which might support improving that. But then there are things like CPAP machines as well, you know, which can help support breathing at night. So that is brilliant, because obviously your oils can help when we talk about like stress and, you know, if someone has an overactive mind, so an essential oil blend can actually help that as well.
Yes, and try to get into a nice sleep hygiene routine 2 hours before. You know, make sure your room is nice and it has a good temperature. Put on your, if you're using one of these diffusers, or maybe people have these these are the old-fashioned ones, but I still love them.
Me too.
You have your tea light in, and then you put your water in the top, and it's good to get a good deep one. And then you, again, depending on the amount of water, the essential oils then in relation to that. But it's why are we overthinking? Is it something in our day that we can
so absolutely, things like so for example, blood sugar imbalances. So obviously that is going to be directly related to what we're eating, you know. So what we eat during the day, and making sure that we're not eating too much sugar, too many carbs. And, you know, obviously, you know, it's not that carbs are bad, but certainly too much of the wrong type of carbs are bad, you know, so your white flour, you know, biscuits, cakes, that kind of thing. So the other thing is that if that might feed into us not sleeping, you know, if we eat that kind of food, especially too late, but also not sleeping will actually impact our blood sugars. So they can drive each other as well. People who don't sleep, who have chronically poor sleep, actually can end up pre-diabetic. And so all of these things, our lifestyle can drive, and it starts to become, well, which came first, the chicken or the egg, the poor sleep or the poor lifestyle. So they do drive each other. So I think it's important to probably say that if someone has not been sleeping for, a long time, everything can feel overwhelming. So even all of this information, and all of the tips, there are many tips that we'll have, and I'll put them all together at the end. But, it might, for some people, it might be a little overwhelming. So what I would say is just pick one, just start moving in the direction of getting better. It's not going to happen overnight, but just start where you can, so start with something. And that can be in the morning, having your breakfast outside, if getting that light early in the day, taking 15 minutes at lunchtime, to get daylight, because vitamin D has been associated, low vitamin D levels have been correlated with poor sleep as well. Vitamin B12 is actually, that is being researched. It's probably the vitamin that's most being researched in relation to poor sleep. So making sure that our vitamin B12 levels, vitamin B12 is something that we can, if we have any sort of digestive issues at all, our B12 absorption can be compromised. So really important to make sure that your B12 and your B12 obviously affects your energy. And your nervous system.
A B12, if you have your bloods done, a B12, they won't necessarily check for that. It's something you have to ask for.
Exactly. So in terms of the blood sugars, actually balanced are the production of neurotransmitters. So they're chemical messengers in the brain, and the production of those does depend on balanced blood sugars as well. So we need to have a balanced gut microbiome as well. So if our microbiome is upset, that can impact our sleep. But also if we're not sleeping, then our microbiome becomes more toxic, because all of that detoxing, the liver does most of its work between 1 and 2 o'clock. Our lymphatic system, which we've done a video on already, which is our detox system, it works mostly at night as well. So that clears us out, of any toxins that we need to clean out of our system. But also we need that to be flowing for our progesterone to flow. And progesterone is really, really important for protection of our muscles, but also progesterone balances estrogen. So again, we're talking about hormone balancing. And also in relation to cortisol, so progesterone is used to make cortisol. So if we're really stressed, then cortisol is using up our progesterone, and our progesterone is one of the hormones that helps us feel happy. So everything is related. It's all related. So you need that good deep sleep to help keep your hormones balanced. And then imbalanced hormones can obviously drive, if your cortisol is too high, then you're not going to sleep properly either. A balanced gut microbiome is really important, and then the sleep helps to detoxify that. And the other thing about the brain is when it comes to the lymphatic system, we have our glymphatic system, which is our detoxification mechanism in our brain, which happens again at night. So it cleans out all the toxins, and that can be really important for our future. As we age, we want to try and avoid things like dementia and Alzheimer's. And that lymphatic system at night can help clean out. I'm sure people have heard about beta amyloids in relation to this, a lot of information out there now about Alzheimer's, for example. And so that detoxification, so sleeping, now will help our future, definitely help our future health as well. And obviously other diseases like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancer, all of that,
Yes, for sure. And Lynn, how do you balance that up with shift workers?
It depends on the quality of the sleep that they're getting when they do sleep. And if they obviously keep their room really dark, they must be sleeping in the dark for the melatonin to be produced, to stop producing cortisol.
So the blackout blinds.
Blackout blinds. So obviously if they're getting good quality sleep, but the fact of the matter is that they need to be eating really well. They need to be obviously exercising. I'll come back to exercise in a wee minute, but I guess the people who probably do well are maybe not, so, have a good attitude. They're not so stressed. They're mentally they're mentally coping with it.
Oh,
Having said that, we do need daylight. We need daylight for our vitamin D. So obviously vitamin D would be something that they would possibly need to supplement. And I guess it probably depends on whether they're doing it week on, week off, or if it's
yeah,
constantly.
yes,
You would just have to look and see. It's unavoidable for some people, so you just have to look and see how the other ways that you can compensate, and just make sure that your lifestyle overall is healthy. So just touched on exercise there. So exercise is obviously really important, and aerobic exercise, I think, is connected to more restful sleep. Obviously, sometimes it suits people to exercise in the evening, maybe just after work. That's fine, but just try and exercise more than 2 hours before you go to bed. So what happens when we exercise is that obviously our body temperature increases, and when we go to sleep, our body temperature actually cools, which is why it's better to actually get into a cool bed rather than a bed that's too warm. Because sort of, especially in the winter, it's tempting to think you need an electric blanket or something, but actually no, your body temperature cools at night, and it starts to heat up again then about 4 or 5 a.m.
Yes. Yeah.
So definitely, if you're exercising, just try and make sure that it's like 2 hours before you go to bed, not straight before.
Yes. Yes. And if you're going to take an essential oil bath, which is fantastic to have as well, you can make your own, like Himalayan salts. This is a bought one, but very easily you can make your own. Put some jojoba oil into it, and then add in the essential oils then into that, and that's wonderful. Again, 2 hours pre-sleep. So to add that in, to see if that will help aid good restful sleep as well.
Oh yeah. Things like magnesium is very important. Magnesium is so our muscles need calcium to contract and magnesium to relax. So it's a relaxing, and it's also related to your mood. So magnesium helps a good mood. And so 3 cups of leafy greens every day would really help. And obviously some nuts and seeds as well.
Epsom salts.
Epsom salts, yeah.
Yes, into your bath.
Yeah.
Pure magnesium.
So when it comes to your food, so we mentioned 3 cups of greens, leafy greens every day. Having good sources of protein. So your plate should be 1/4 protein, 1/4 carb, but that's just 1/4 of your plate. So I think we can often tend to go mad with like half a plate of spuds, or half a plate of rice, but really, or half, worse still, rice and chips with a curry.
Yeah.
So one or the other, but 1/4 of your plate, and then half your plate should be mixed vegetables. And if you sort of, and the other thing is that's really important is good healthy fats. So like 1 to 2 tablespoons of, say, an olive oil salad dressing, with your salad. Avocado is another good, really good healthy fat, so they're really important as well. I suppose the other thing that can impact, and this kind of goes back to hormonal imbalances as well, so if we look at toxins, you can have things like xenoestrogens, and they would be in plastic bottles. So now if you're buying a water bottle, hopefully everybody looks for no phthalates and no BPAs in the plastic. Really important. There are xenoestrogens in things like your plastic bottles in the atmosphere. They can be in skincare products as well, which is why natural skincare products are best. They act like estrogen, so they act like a hormone, and what they do is they upset the balance of, so you become estrogen dominant, which can obviously lead to several different issues. But that will create a hormone imbalance, which again can affect your sleep. The other thing is Wi-Fi. So it's really important that if you think about your mattress is made up obviously of metal springs. So if you have your phone in the bedroom and you haven't put it onto like airplane mode or whatever, you've got these electromagnetic frequencies coming in, and they're actually, the metal springs in your mattress attract that. So that amplifies it. So you've got all of these electromagnetic frequencies in your bedroom, as you sleep. So always, if you need your phone in your bedroom for your alarm or something, you know, always leave it on airplane mode or turn off your Wi-Fi when you go to bed at night.
Turn the Wi-Fi off sounds like the best thing to do, yeah.
So the thyroid is another hormone that's actually really impacted by poor sleep. And thyroid is obviously so vital for our metabolism. It's like the master conductor of our hormones. Our metabolism is basically how we convert our food into energy.
Fantastic, yes. So important, the thyroid, so important. And again, reflexology is really good for helping to bring the balance of the body back to homeostasis. So we can work on a lot of different areas on the feet, the hands, or the face to help with that process, Lynn, to balance this divine system. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
With essential oils, you're getting both the balancing and the use of these powerful chemical natural compounds.
Okay, so Michelle, I think we should probably talk about it as well in relation to stress, anxiety, and depression. There are several ways in which obviously they can, you know, increase our anxiety, for example, because the neurotransmitters which are produced in the gut when we're asleep, like, you know, our GABA or dopamine, when they're absent, we can definitely feel more anxious. There was actually a study done in Berkeley in California, which showed that 75% of people with depression had poor sleep. But there's more recent studies in the UK which actually show 100% correlation between poor sleep and depression. So again, I suppose the same tools that we would talk about are like obviously meditation, but some people aren't maybe interested in meditation to start with. But just simple breathing techniques throughout the day can be hugely beneficial. And as we always talk about, that deep exhale to activate the vagus nerve, which activates our rest and digest and our parasympathetic nervous system. So I know belly breathing, which again we talked about in the lymphatic video, or, you know, belly breathing is where you breathe in and push your belly out, so you're increasing the capacity of your lungs, and then you've a deep then you exhale completely, and do that for about 5 minutes. That can help. Even once helps, you know, even one deep exhale can help. You know, you're in the car or something, and, you know, you're, you know, in between work, and then you're going to, you know, you have something else on, and you're rushing around. So even taking a couple of deep breaths in between that, when you wake up, get your day off to a good start with a few breathing exercises. And the 4-7-8 is a good one, where you breathe in to the count of 4, hold for the count of 7, and breathe out to the count of 8. Actually, my aunt is a counselor, and she told me about a tool where if you put your hand on your heart, that's like a self-soothing thing. Thanks, Annette. And it produces oxytocin, which actually makes you feel good.
Yes. Yes.
Isn't that a lovely thing that you can do? Put your hand on your heart.
We call it the heart chakra massage. Yes.
Lovely.
And if you have somebody behind, if you have your own hand on your heart, and then have somebody behind at the same area from your heart, and to just give it little rotations. You do it with children instinctively.
Yes.
It's a heart massage. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's lovely. Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I suppose it begins with awareness, and then, you know, we can all manage if we're aware and we start to think about it. Practice a few, you know, just have that as a habit. When you get up in the morning, take a few deep breaths. Lunchtime, evening time, in the car, you know, make it that it just becomes sort of second nature. So you know, these things, when they're embedded as habits, and we end up doing them subconsciously, and that's where, you know, and as what you do every day builds up. So you might notice the difference today or tomorrow, but you'll notice the difference in 2 weeks, and you'll definitely notice the difference in 2 months, you know, when you start doing some of these things.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So
talk to somebody, you know, anxieties, stresses, share with a trusted person.
Absolutely. So, you know, the way that we say to each other, oh, you'll feel better after a good night's sleep. These are all the reasons why, you know. Yeah. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to say that, you know, a good night's sleep will cure everybody's depression, you know, but it'll certainly contribute. And obviously, if someone is depressed, you know, they should take, you know, get advice, get help, and get support, you know, from medical and trained professionals, for sure, absolutely. But certainly as part of,
As
you know,
part of,
of helping to move towards, you know, towards better health.
Can I just show you this little
Yes.
guy? This is fantastic as well for congestion, sinuses, and very easily got as well. So you pop your essential oils into the little basin, put some water, and then pop your peppermint, tea tree, helps with congestion, and you get a lovely aroma, steam to help clear the sinuses.
Brilliant.
Yeah, they're fantastic little gadgets there. I use them.
Great, that looks great.
Yeah,
super. So
you
hopefully,
buy
oh yes,
aromatherapy jewelry. So in this, it's a chain I wear myself, and I love the yang yang in it. And yang yang is a calmer of the nervous system. So you have these little felt pads inside. So you just pop your little drops of whatever you choose. Yang yang happens to be my favorite. And then, yeah, you can have your essential oils during the day. And there's one for the car as well. So put it in your, the vent of your car. Again, it has a little felt pad inside. So you're getting your pure essential oils throughout the day when you're driving as well.
They're gorgeous. They look really nice as well.
Yeah, they're lovely. Yeah.
Super. That's great. Well, hopefully there is enough there just to motivate people to actually start thinking about, are they prioritizing their sleep and getting enough sleep? As I say, don't stress about it, because obviously that will drive, you know, poorer sleep, but just take on board hopefully why it's important to prioritize it, and then just start maybe making a few, you know, incorporating some of those tips that we've mentioned. And obviously both myself and Michelle, you can contact us through our websites. But yeah, hopefully that has helped all that information today. And I've certainly learned a lot from you, Michelle, and thank you very much indeed for your time.
And thank you for inviting me. And I've learned so much from you as well, Lynn. Thank you so much.
Take care. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.